Who's ready to win the day in sports? I know you are. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com, Monday through Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Justin Fensterman, and let's break everything down from a fantasy sports perspective.
What is going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a great week. It's a great week to be a sports fan. My name is Justin Fensterman, and welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by FantasyGuru.com, where you can find all of my work. You can also follow me at Fensty Sports on X and Instagram, FENSTY Sports. It's our free stream that we have here on the Elite Plus Network as a gateway to get all that great content we've got pumping out at the good old FG. Ray Flowers hosts Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and you get me on the Wild Wednesday edition. Ray will be with Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern today. And then you can catch us, both me and Ray, on the Elite Sports Game Time Show. A lot of live action coverage and football coverage too, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on Fantasy Sports Radio. I mentioned football. Why is that? Because it's a great week. Boom. That's why. Because now's the time to get our fantasy football draft guide. It is out. We've got a lot of articles that are out there right now. When you go to fantasyguru.com, let me hook you up with an exact link right there so you can get involved in everything that we have and tell you about our plans. Headlined by Jeff Mans. Let's start there. Even when Jeff is off, he is not out of office, because he is never out of office because he's a hard worker, but he also is doing a lot of coaching breakdowns while on vacation last week. What an amazing vacation that is, doing coaching breakdowns. Why is that? Is because we know as a site, and Jeff surely knows, it is that time. It's not about that time. It's not your 2-month warning. Hey, it's coming. No. We get started right now when it comes to the fantasy football product that we have at fantasyguru.com, and when it comes to our fantasy football content. That's why I'm in the Jets jersey right there before the Jets start losing games. New coach. Maybe they win a few games this year, a few more games than maybe you think. Maybe I'm just delusional. But at the same time, I'm not delusional telling you our content is out right there. And there are a lot of different football plans that you can go with. And there are, including if you want to go betting solo. We do a lot of bets in our betting Discord. You could get our betting package solo. You could get DFS if DFS is your thing. You don't like the season-long game anymore, but you're loving DFS, then you could get DFS daily separate. You could get one of 2 season-long packages where you can get the basic seasonal, which is a little bit cheaper, and then the elite seasonal, which is about $100 right now, where you get access to all our data. I don't know why you wouldn't at that point get all that we have to offer. Or you could just bundle everything up and go all in for about $400, and that's really all it is for the entire season. Everything we offer, everything from live streams on the site to Discord to betting to DFS, to season-long. I'm part of the season-long content team at fantasyguru.com for football, and that is where you could get it all. It's a very exciting week, and we've got more content that's going to be coming out. And as Ray always says, Ray Flowers always says, and I love what he says is because it's true, it's that it's not just a draft guide. It is a draft guide for your drafts, but it also is something that can service you for the entire season too, as you journey through and get your fantasy football title. Because that, to me, is what it's all about. And that, to us, there is the place where winners win for a reason, fantasyguru.com. And that is where I'm going to leave this up for a few minutes as I talk a little fantasy football with all of you. Because like I have been promoting over the last few weeks here on Wednesdays, is that normally I do a lot of basketball, and that's because I'm the lead NBA analyst at fantasyguru.com. So I do a lot of basketball, but the sun is setting on the NBA season. I've been saying that there. When I say the NBA season, I include the postseason as well. We're entering the NBA Finals, and I'll still be having some Discord content go up from the DFS side and the betting side too. So not going to be as much until I get a good handle on the series. And with that, it's going to be a fun one. I'm going to actually preview the entire NBA final series and where I'm focused on here in just a little bit. So with basketball winding down, you getting a big time fill of baseball when Ray is on, I'm going to be venturing more into football And I'm going to be venturing more into other sports too, including NASCAR. We've been having Rich Mileto on during the football season, normally on Wednesdays. Well, Rich is going to start joining me next week. Serge Singh is going to stop by today. We're going to talk a little golf too. It's just another way that you can win. A lot of the focus is on football, but we offer a lot of sports and a lot of content and a lot of opportunities for you to win at fantasyguru.com. So this is a very exciting week. As far as we're concerned at the site, the fantasy football season has already begun. So when it comes to our fantasy football content, we've got more content to come. And of course, we will be having more articles, live streams associated with it, our shows, whether it's Jeff Manns' Elite Sports Show or my show along with Ray Flowers, Elite Sports Game Time. We will be having more content there. I find it funny that Keith says there, guys, we get to watch Alex Caruso and Aaron Nesmith navigate screens in the NBA Finals, right? Isn't it great? Isn't it awesome? I'm looking forward to the NBA Finals. It's going to be a nice, high-powered series. I'll say this, and then I'll talk football for a little bit. But Keith, come on, you're right there. You're getting to me with these comments here. These two guys right here are the guys you want to watch fighting through screens. It's like these are like the two top seeds when it comes to fighting through screens and splitting defenses and handling offenses. Both of them just very solid. So, Keith, thank you for joining me, and I'm totally with you on that. But for fantasy football, what am I going to be doing for our fantasy football content plan? I'm going to be talking a lot of auctions. And when it comes to auctions, I'm going to talk about strategy prior to the auction, in the auction, towards the end of the auction. So I'm going to be talking a lot about that. And I'm going to be writing up some content for it and doing a little podcast on it later this summer. I'm really excited about it. And when it comes to football right now, we're mid mock draft for our staff mock draft. It's going to be coming out on the site, but we do have rankings out right now. As you can see, everything that we have cooking in our draft guide, a lot of it out, position outlooks. We've got all the positions filled for the skill positions. So that right there being out, and I've been sifting through it already, and it's a lot of fun. It's good getting involved right now and not waiting until the week before your draft. So again, I've had this link up there for a few minutes here. I'm very excited about the content. Everybody at the site works so hard. Jeff Manns, Armando Marsal, Ted Schuster, Ray Flowers, Russell Clay, Tyler Beaker, Rich Mileto. Everybody works so hard, and we all know what the bee's knees is when it comes to sports content and coverage, and that's football. And we are here for you. And no matter what happens this summer, no matter what injuries occur, player changes, anything that happens, we're going to be on it at fantasyguru.com. So that's why just get the all in, because if you buy the packages separately altogether, it's more money. So go bundle them up and go all in right now and go all in with us this season. There's an all-in package there when you go to the link that you see below. So with that right there, let's get rid of this and let's actually put this amazing doc up on what we're going to be discussing for today, because I'm going to be doing a little football, basketball, golf hybrid show. Serge Singh is going to stop by to help preview the NBA Finals, but also to talk about DFS PGA. And one of the other reasons why I'm bringing Serge on this week is because I want you guys to get ready for the U.S. Open, which is coming up next week. So while you're deciding which of our football packages to get, while you're kind of waiting there, you can get used to the golf atmosphere, because we got another major coming up. So Serge is going to talk strategies, and he's going to talk picks too. So when it comes to fantasy football with me, I'm more of an auction guy than snake drafts guy. But it's just, we all know how fun drafting is. We absolutely do. And when it comes to drafting, I want to put myself in the best position to succeed. I take this stuff very seriously. I just do. And for me, because I'm investing often when I'm playing fantasy sports, I want the chance to get who I want on my teams. And that's where auctions come in. And when you have auctions versus snake drafts, I'll just say this quickly. You can't get a couple of your first round favorites. You can get them if you want in an auction and still end up with a decent team. A few dollars at the end of your auction goes a lot a lot further than you'd think. And I'm telling you, you'll be able to get second wide receiver options went for about $2-3 towards the end of your auction. And I'm talking low end wide receiver, not wide receiver twos for fantasy, but on NFL teams, different wide receiver twos. You'll be able to get them late. So that's why I'm just so passionate about auctions, because, and a few of you have been reaching out and asking me about it. And because you haven't made the change just yet, you're thinking about it. It's a big time draft change. And it's something where, as a commissioner, it gets a little stressful because you got to make sure that everybody is there. And you have auto draft and the snake drafts. You can handle it. Let's say someone needs to miss the draft. They can still pre-rank the players, and the auto bot or whatever will pull from that list if that list exists. But with auctions, it just doesn't work that way. You can't put the dollar amounts and you expect the bots to follow it. Maybe technology does get there one day, but being that there's no clear system, you can't auto auction. It ruins the auction. And that's a big part of it right there. And if you've got league mates and friends that often show up late and you're all goofing on that person for half the draft until they decide to walk in or whatever, we all have that person in the league. I send my league, and it's stupid how much I remind my league. It's like I feel like I'm their mother. I feel like I'm their mother, reminding them to wash their hands every 5 minutes or something like that. That's really what I feel like with my league. But that's because when you do an auction league, everybody has to be there. Everyone. You can't have someone missing. Why? Let's say someone's missing. Then what's going to happen is the first player gets put up there, and that Autobot is going to keep bidding up that player for as long as somebody else is bidding up next to them. Players are naturally going to be bid up. Players that would be going potentially for a certain amount will be going for a larger amount until the Autobot of the person auto auctioning is done and their budget is finished, or their max bid is so down that they can't bid on anymore. It just doesn't work out. And look, sometimes there's nothing you can do. I've been in auctions where someone prior to the start of the auction, they fell asleep. You can't do anything about it. But you have to understand that those first few players, they're going to be auto auctioned. And it really ruins the sanctity of the league. So a big portion of the stress regarding auction drafts, there are two things. Number one, it's making sure that everybody is in the room at all times. So three things. Number one, making sure everybody's in the room. Number two, making sure that nobody leaves the room. Because then here's what happens. Someone gets kicked out of the room, the auction bot comes into play once again, even if it's for 5 seconds. And then if a league mate, because they got kicked out for a minute or two, ends up with a player they don't want, you got to be ready to roll that back immediately. You do, even if it means pausing the auction, seeing what's wrong. So there's a little bit more maintenance there. I'm not going to lie. There is a little bit more maintenance there. And I've run into some crap before. And you figure it out, you MacGyver it, you do whatever you got to do. But it's worth it. It's just worth it. And it's especially worth it when you don't have to be the commissioner of said league. When you don't have to be the commissioner, it's very much worth it. But even as the commissioner, they're just fun. It's a fun night. I do one for my football league that I run. I do one for my basketball league. It's just a lot of fun. And that's what it's all about with fantasy sports. But if you're telling me that there's a way that I can get Jamar Chase and Bijan Robinson on the same team, that's right, the same team. And it's not far-fetched, because some of your low-end tight end ones are going to go for just a couple of dollars. Some of your low-end QB ones, like last year, for instance, I was getting Joe Burrow for about $6 to $7, maybe $8. Joe Burrow. And this was, mind you, last year in the auction, but he was going at about QB8, QB9, around there. But instead of paying in one auction, which I did, paying, I don't know, 30 or not 30, maybe like 25 or something for Hurts, maybe even going up to 30. Probably ended up, and I'd have to go back and look because I did buy Hurts in one league. I probably ended up paying 25, but I paid $7 in another league for Joe Burrow. And it's obvious there's differences in the skill set because Hurts runs. Burrow, he'll still give you a few 1-yard scores, extensions to get touchdowns. He'll give you those. But it's not like what we're seeing because, by the way, when it comes to draft strategy on the quarterback front, you're going to have to plant your flag this year because there's not just like 2 or 3 quarterbacks that are being drafted in the early third round. No. Between like the second round and the end of the third round, between those areas, there's about 4 or 5 guys there. And you're going to have to make a commitment where you stand if you're with the elites, or essentially you're going to go after someone at a better value. And there's still guys that you could get 6th round, 5th and 6th round. Bo Nix starts to appear there in like that 6th, 7th round area. Caleb Williams is going to be there. But these are guys you're going to have to take shots on. There's a big time divide this year, what I'm seeing on early draft boards. And even those that are in best ball right now, I'm seeing it there too. I'm mid best ball draft right now, and I'm seeing QBs propped up a little bit more because there are a lot more runners when it comes to the quarterback position. I mean, we've had that, but you see what the value is, and especially in the scoring system. And Ray and I were talking about that the other night about just how valuable the QB rushing scoring is. And so that's where you got your Allens, your Lamar Jacksons, your Hurtses of the world, your Jaden Daniels of the world. And then you got Joe Burrow up there. And yeah, he can throw a zillion touchdowns and he's got amazing weaponry there. But at the same time, I mean, are you willing for a guy that's not going to be running and maybe doesn't have as safe of a floor as those other guys, as much as we all love Joe Burrow? And maybe the juice is worth the squeeze. Maybe instead of taking Joe Burrow, and this is what I'm kind of trying to decide, maybe I save value on quarterback and then go after someone that, whether it's auction or snake draft, go after a T. Higgins early on. And that way I have my share, essentially, of Joe Burrow, and then I can look for another quarterback. But you're going to have to make a stand, and you're going to have to stick by that because there's a big-time divide, and there's the quarterback price this year is very hefty. Not going to be able to get away with too much, especially if you want one of the top 5 or 6 guys, especially the top 5 guys that are going right now. And that's why you follow us at fantasyguru.com, because we can help you make that decision. We got Discord rocking and rolling, season-long football Discord, the Man's Cave. We've got it all, and we've got our analysts that are hanging out in there ready to answer your questions. So some of the players that I find myself targeting a little bit earlier, and I'll talk more, by the way, about auctions, especially around the release of the content piece. But some of the players that I've been noticing myself kind of drifting towards and seeing, and it's not just because he is gaining muscle or whatever. It's great to see when athletes put on muscle, but Marvin Harrison is someone that I'm absolutely looking at. And just the experience that he now has is going to be very, very valuable with Kyler too. I think that connection is going to really start to shine a little bit. I know that he didn't exceed expectations, but his draft price was very, very expensive last year. And this year, from what we're seeing so far, when it comes to Harrison, I mean, you're seeing him in some drafts going late 3rd, but then there are other drafts where you're going to be able to get him in the 4th. And for me, if I can get him as my 2nd, potentially 3rd wide receiver on my team, yes, please. Yes. It'd be a hard guy to guard, now has that NFL experience. Sometimes it takes people. You saw it with Bo Nix throughout the year, a little bit more seasoning, and then boom, we saw him start to just show overall improvement towards the end. He's the perfect example of that because we saw improvement throughout the year from him. These young guys sometimes need most of the season in order to do that. But with Harrison, I'm loving where he's going. I mean, this is still very early that we're talking about with him, but that's the advantage. There are advantages and disadvantages of drafting early. And Marvin Harrison is one of those players that's going at a great spot. I'm just hoping, and listen, these beat reporters out there, coach speak, there's a lot that can start to really push him up and solidly make him a third-round pick. If he's going mid-third round, then I'd still be open to taking him. My second wide receiver on my team, absolutely. Absolutely. No problem doing that. I actually really like who's being drafted around him too, by the way, while we're talking about it. Like in his area. I mean, even Devontae Adams, I like him a lot. I mean, look at the situation he's in now where he's going to be getting, and it's, Puka Nacua, but there's going to be a hell of a lot of targets thrown his way too. And he's still got it. Devontae Adams, who's a seasoned veteran at this point, but he's still got it. I'm fine with him. Guys like DJ Moore, because I'll say this, I have a league right now, and I'll probably end up having a share in other leagues too. I'm very interested in the Bears. I am. You'll see that if you go to fantasyguru.com. I am very intrigued by the Bears. I'm not saying that they're going to make waves and go on some kind of deep playoff run, but I am expecting very much improved offense, just overall improvements on both sides of the ball from them. But even someone like a DJ Moore, someone that I'm kind of excited about. Burton, as Kyle just mentioned there, yes, there's a lot to be excited about. And when it comes to the passing attack, I'm very excited, everything from Ben Johnson all the way down. So Kyle, I'm with you there. So again, just trying to kind of get the juices flowing when it comes to our fantasy football content and just some of what we have to offer. And I'm going to start every single Wednesday kind of going over a few things. I think the best way to do this and the best way to help everybody out there is to just go over different players I'm into on a weekly basis, even players that, and I'm noting which players I'm covering. If I start to lose interest, that's what I'm going to do here, because at the end of the day, we don't know how much time you have to watch the stream. Hopefully you're hanging with us every single day, but at least you'll start to get in the mindset, because it's about getting to us early on. It's about getting to us now. And there are a bunch of people now, and especially the newer, younger generations, that aren't even thinking about football. No, we got to be thinking about football now. That's how we win. And I'm not just saying that because the guide's out for a reason. We can put it out whenever we want. It's because it's time. That's what it's about right now. Absolutely time. Let me talk a little NBA. And with that, we've got the NBA Finals coming up. And I'm just so excited about the series. I am. By the way, Tony, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do need a Chicago Bears jersey. I don't know. You know who I'd probably go with if I was going with Chicago Bear? I'd probably go with, and rest in peace and power, Steve Mongo McMichael. I love that. And he was also a member of the Four Horsemen too. So there's that too, for those that follow old school wrestling at all. Yes, he was a wrestler. Very tough guy, Steve McMichael, Mongo. So with that, the NBA Finals, I'm expecting a very fast-paced series between these two teams, meaning that if Indiana takes a dive, or you could say this about either team, but if Indiana takes a dive, then Oklahoma City is going to end this very quickly. I'm thinking that Oklahoma City is going to end this in 5 or 6. And the reason I do is because I think OKC is deeper. I think they're a better defensive team. I think they can handle guarding the perimeter a lot better than the Knicks did against the Pacers. And I ultimately think that with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being able to match what Tyrese Halliburton can bring, the difference is you're going to see some games where Tyrese Halliburton is just not going to be as involved. And the reason is because they're going to make him pass off. You're going to be seeing a lot of switching with Jalen Williams going on him. And Jalen Williams can keep up with Halliburton. And getting the ball out of Halliburton's hands is going to be crucial. So now, where does the ball go exactly? It's going to go to Pascal Siakam. I mean, the guy, conference finals player of the series. And it's going to go to Pascal Siakam. Here's the difference, though. Pascal Siakam is going to have a lot of size on him. And he's going to be taking a lot of lower percentage shots. They would rather, I'm telling you now, the Thunder would rather give up open trays to Miles Turner all day long than to give Pascal Siakam any step in the lane. He was running down that lane freely against the Knicks. That's not going to happen in this series. It's not. You saw Anthony Edwards get stopped a decent amount on the drive, and he had to adjust his gameplay. I don't know if the Pacers are going to be able to do that. Pacers are a great offense. They are a top 10 defense, too. A lot of people don't give the Pacers credit about that. So let's say, because we've seen this a little bit when it comes to Oklahoma City. There will likely, because this is why I can't predict the sweep, even though I'm very confident that the Thunder are winning the championship. I can't predict the sweep because I feel like we've seen OKC just take an absolute dive when it comes to shooting. For a game, they'll shoot like 33% and get crushed. We've just seen it. And you can't do that against Indiana because Indiana, they're shooting 50%. They're going to be up very quickly. But OKC can match the intensity. They've got more skill in the post. To me, they've got more skill overall. Pace-wise, they match each other. OKC, to me, is the better defensive team. And that's why, while I'm very excited about this series and it's going to be flying a lot, I'm also interested to see what Indiana is going to be able to do when they have to adjust against this Thunder team. And when you're matching second unit versus second unit, I'd still give OKC a little bit more of an advantage. I don't want to doubt Indiana. Indiana puts up very strong offense, but they've met their match with this series. So Keith is asking me right now about Siakam's point unders. I was thinking about that a little bit because everybody is going to be very hot for Pascal Siakam. And when looking it up right now, and I'll do it right now while we're talking about it here. We can look at Siakam here. That, because for me, as someone who's more of an overs guy, that wouldn't be naturally where I'd look. 19.5 points. That's the line for Pascal Siakam. Now, here's the thing. I might just wait on that. I don't mind if you look at the under there, but here's the one thing that kind of scares me. Being that it's going to be a very fast pace, I wonder if there's just going to be a hellacious amount of shots put up. And if there are, and the ball denial on Halliburton is going to be as strong as it is, you could see Pascal Siakam taking 18 to 20 shots. Now, whether or not he makes half of them, we don't know. But that's where I'm a little bit more on the timid side. So with Siakam, yeah, I can kind of see it maybe going under, but it's going to be a big-time sweat. In a couple of games against the Thunder, he averaged about 16.5. His shooting was okay against them, just all right, but, nothing outstanding. So, yeah, you could look at the under, and this is the game to do it because if he goes ham here for some reason, then maybe we can look at the under because I'm expecting OKC to be able to adjust better than Indiana would be able to because of all the skill that they have in the post. So, yeah, you can look at it, but I wouldn't be surprised even if it just went over because of the amount of shots that he's going to get. It's either going to be him or Turner. One of those two is going to have to be shooting. And if Siakam's not able to drive, Siakam might have to pass off, and it's going to be a lot of Miles Turner top of the key. The problem is, though, if Thunder are on the run, then they're going to have to adjust and put Obi Toppin in there, and that's going to take Turner out. Also, something else we're going to have to worry about, too, the physicality factor, because I know that Isaiah Hartenstein isn't really someone that's been utilized. He's also someone we've seen get schemed out, too. Something to also remember moving forward, especially those playing Showdown DFS, these slower centers are going to continue to get schemed out more. The Rudy Goberts of the world. I hate to say it, but the Ivica Zubac's of the world, even though they committed a lot more minutes, that was this whole surprising thing with the Clippers and Zubac's because they would never commit more than like 28, 29 minutes to this guy. And at times they would scheme him out completely. We were betting low point props on him, and they would absolutely completely scheme him out. And so when it comes down to Isaiah Hartenstein, I think because of his ability to handle the rock himself, and if they want to keep the intensity up, they just have him go flying down. I think there are more opportunities for him to be able to hang in there. And that's someone that if you're trying to be very sneaky, then you could go after him. But it's very risky because if they're not running well and they're not shooting well and they need to up their intensity, he's going to be out of there. And we've seen it before. So you can look a little bit more at Chet Holmgren there. Chet Holmgren, while I think that Jalen Williams is a glue guy, Chet Holmgren is going to potentially be a difference maker, and he's going to be all over Siakam. Siakam's going to be all over him. I'm very interested to see what that defensive matchup brings. So if you're looking to build for tomorrow night, really you're looking at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to me. I think Tyrese Halliburton, he could get there with assists and still score in double figures, but it's going to be very difficult for him to score against this team. So if you're looking to pay up there, you could go with him. If you're looking for a secondary option and you don't want it to be either Halliburton or SGA, I would probably then I would take a look at Jalen Williams. But Aaron Nesmith is someone that is a very solid defender, and he's going to be switching on and off on him, and he won't make it easy. But the assist factor, the rebounds, those will all be there. And we'll see right now if my guest of the day agrees with me on that, because you've seen him, you love him, covers multiple sports at fantasyguru.com. Now back with me, it's Serge Singh. Serge, before we talk about the NBA Finals, man, we were texting a little bit. Just seeing, you wanted to get your reaction to the Knicks losing in 6 and the Pacers moving on, but also Tom Thibodeau, man, did he deserve to get fired? Because you seem to be more okay with it than me.
I don't think he deserved to get fired, but I see why he got fired. I had some. I don't blame him for why they lost the series, but I think he did play a part in why they did lose the series, and that he did play a part in why they didn't win the series how they should have. Because I still honestly believe the Pacers are a great team. Don't get me wrong. They play excellent basketball. Their defense has gotten better. But I still think the Knicks had the better team. And we saw in a couple games, especially that game 1 that they blew, we saw in their moments where they were the better team. Even that game 2, I thought they should have won. And starting Cameron Payne in that fourth quarter and not running Jalen Brunson for some reason all these fourth quarters, I don't know. I think it hurt the Knicks a lot in certain situations where you would expect Jalen Brunson, who's a guy that was playing 45, 46 minutes in November, in December, not playing the whole fourth quarter. And I really didn't understand it. So I could see why Tibbs got fired, but I still feel bad. I don't think he deserves it. I think he should be a coach in this league. But I think the front office and James Dolan might see that maybe the Knicks can't win the championship with him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the only answer for the Knicks, and then we'll leave this, is Mike Malone. I mean, I don't think you try out one of the. I mean, Jay Wright, no. I don't think
No.
Dan Hurley, no. I don't care. You go, Mike. This is a Malone or bust situation for me when I say that. By the way, Keith commenting here, I'm loving this. I'm loving the NBA back and forth. Keith, I have to respectfully disagree with you. I actually talked about this with Serge himself, that even if, and the Knicks, remember, were up 3-2 last year, and then they lost back-to-back games. I don't think that if the Pacers or if the Knicks ended up winning game 1 or whatever, I think we still get to game 7. And you can ask Serge, because I was telling him this before the start of the series. I still thought that the Knicks would lose that in 7. I just thought the Pacers offense were just too much for them. And if we saw, and they started to shoot better in the series against Indiana, if we saw them bring more of that offense, I would have had more confidence, but we didn't. And you could even look at the Celtics series, and you talk about the Knicks collapsing. Celtics collapsed in 2 games, and they barely shot the ball. They barely scored, it seemed like. And so, yeah, it just, at the end of the day, man, it just weird stuff happens in the NBA. So now we've got this series going on, the NBA Finals. We're kind of splitting duties here, doing Showdown DFS there. I'm going to be taking on game 1, which will be tomorrow night. And I got to ask you, Serge, for you, just talking about the series in general, are you giving Indiana a shot here, man? Because I see this going 5-6 max.
Yeah, it's NBA is not going to love this, but they're not making a lot of money this series, because I'd be shocked if it goes more than 6 games. And I'd be shocked if the Pacers are like competitive in every game. I just think OKC beat their demon and beating that Denver and finally getting like that monkey off their back to make the Western Conference Finals, because last year everyone thought they should have and maybe could have won, and then maybe they were too young, they didn't have that experience. Now this year, the Denver kind of punched them in the mouth. They took it in the mouth, and then they survived because there's a lot of those games they were down early, 10 points here and there, and they weathered the storm for a young, strong group. The OKC is basically the better version of what the Pacers have built. They have a deep bench. They play better defense. They get to the line more frequently. They just do everything the Pacers want to do in basketball and do it better. And I think they have better talent. Like Chet Holmgren is a better Miles Turner. Jalen Williams, I think, is as good or probably better than Siakam. And then when it comes to SGA versus Halliburton, I think SGA is the MVP. Of course, he's better than Halliburton. So you just see those singular matchups. I just think OKC's better. Now you factor in the bench. The Pacers have a great bench. They have a great coach who utilizes that bench very well. What was the Knicks' problem? Defending those fast break and those soft switches on threes. The OKC will not be able to let the Pacers run on them like how the Knicks ran on a made basket, which was pathetic to me. And that's another reason why I thought Tibbs, being a defensive-minded coach and seeing a whole series long, the Pacers running out off made baskets and getting easy baskets, it was very infuriating. OKC will not allow that to happen. And then they have defensive stoppers like a Dort that they could throw on Halliburton if he's getting hot. Freaking Caruso's going to be in the Halliburton's bag, and Caruso will not let McConnell run around in circles doing whatever he wants to do when Halliburton's resting. So I just think OKC's just way better.
There's a reason that game one's a 9-point spread. This is going to be a shock to the Pacers system because they just got off beating the Knicks, who play at a slower pace. And even though they were speeding up, trying to run with the Pacers, they just couldn't. As I was saying before you came on, you said it best too. This team is everything the Pacers team is, plus more depth, more everything. So yeah, it's one of those things where for me, full health versus as well. I mean, the Pacers aren't entering the series fully healthy, but with these two teams, you got to give it to OKC. The question is for me, 5 or 6. I'm expecting them to kind of go to Cancun for an evening, a one-night trip to Cancun and shoot about 37% and lose, whether it's probably it'll be something like game 3 or something in Indiana. But then they'll take care of business. They'll win in 5, or if Indiana with their offense wins another, they're not winning more than 2 games in this series. And I got to ask you, man, when it comes to DFS, who else can we rely on from the value side from either one of these teams? Is it Case and Wallace? Is it Obi Toppin? Who are you looking at from these benches?
From bench wise, OKC has a lot of potential. Like you said, Case and Wallace. Sometimes Caruso gets hot from 3. Even I don't know how Hartenstein's going to be priced. He's probably more mid-range. I could see him having some success if the Pacers, because the Pacers were playing multiple bigs in that series against the Knicks. So I wonder if Carlisle goes back to that. As for the Pacers value, it's always going to go be like guys like Nesmith, Nembhard. Toppin has had moments, but I feel like Toppin did well, and I didn't think he was going to get a lot of minutes and do well in the next series because of prior. But then in the next series, the role that he was playing just was a kryptonite for the Knicks. He was like instant offense. He was crashing the boards. He was getting wide open threes, which is what Toppin wants to be effective. OKC won't let Toppin do those things. So I could see Toppin's minutes going way down and his effectiveness being way down in the OKC series. But yeah, I still want to stick with the starters. When it comes to bench value, I'd probably go toward the OKC side if you're using that for showdown.
Right. I mean, so we'll see where we go here, Serge. Luckily for you, I'm the first line of defense here when it comes to showdown building. So we'll see what adjustments you make for game 2. But for game 1, I'll have a lineup in there for anyone that has questions. I'll also have a little betting content in as well. Serge, before we go and talk about golf, which you also cover, because soon enough next week we'll have the U.S. Open, which is very exciting. But at the same time, Serge, you being a kind of Long Island guy like I am at heart here, were you a Jets fan growing up, or you more of a Giants guy?
No, I'm actually a Colts fan.
How? Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning got me into football. So I'm a Knicks. I'm blue and orange through and through. I'm Knicks, I'm Mets, I'm Islanders. And then when it came to football, I just didn't respect. I wasn't big into football like that yet. And then when I first got into it, I was like looking at the Jets, I was looking at the Giants, and they don't even play in New York. They play in freaking Timbuktu and in the Meadowlands. So I was like, you know what? And I was watching Peyton Manning, and I like blue. So I was a kid at 11 years old. I was like, let me get in. And that's when I started like getting to fantasy football, and Peyton Manning was one of my quarterbacks. So and I actually had a Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison in fantasy so I just built, like, I was just fanboying them, and then I was like, I'll be a Colts fan. I was like, I was not feeling what the Jets and what the Giants were doing at the time. So yeah, and then
I
I've been a
hear
Colts
you.
fan ever. I was a Colts fan ever since. Thank God I didn't pick the Jets.
No,
I'd be
dude.
too.
Oh, I'm so jealous of you right now.
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
you talk about the Colts for fantasy back then in the 2000s. We're kind of around the same age. And you're not only talking about for fantasy Peyton Manning, you're talking about Reggie Wayne, Brandon Stokely, Edgerrin James,
Dallas Clark. Yeah.
Dallas Clark. They just
Yeah.
had a lot of fantasy-friendly guys.
Yeah.
And Peyton Manning would just throw a zillion touchdowns every
Yeah.
year. So it was almost like it didn't matter who you ended up with. You just wanted one of those guys. Like, Serge, I don't know if you've already started diving into or even, participating in best ball drafts or, even getting ready for your own fantasy football drafts as, our content coming out this week and everything. But I was talking about how Joe Burrow, because there's about, when you look at right now early draft boards where a lot of these high-end quarterbacks are going, it's second and third round, and it's a bunch of quarterbacks that run the usual suspects, but then also Joe Burrow's up there who doesn't run as much. But it's funny because while I was telling everybody that maybe the answer is not paying up third round value to draft Joe Burrow, but it's getting a T. Higgins there and saving some value, I almost want to view it like those Peyton Manning years back in the day, but it's not like he's spreading it out to a zillion options. It's two guys there, and one of them happens to be the number one pick in fantasy football drafts.
That's like, I haven't started my best ball leagues yet, but like that stack is going to be almost impossible to get, because in best ball you want to stack probably 2-3 wide receivers with the quarterback, and a high investment quarterback. You got to waste your first overall pick on Chase, which he deserves it. He's great for best ball. He's just the most consistent receiver right now in big play opportunity, and he gets a lot of targets. Then you got T. Higgins. I think they franchise tagged him, right?
Yeah, they got him. They got him locked up. No, he's locked up.
Oh, he's locked up now. He's locked up. So yeah. So obviously, with them being paid, like, they got to go back. I think they even drafted a wide receiver. I know they used what's called Ivasa a little bit.
Yoshivas, yes.
So Yoshivasa or whatever, a little bit when they were. Who I think T. Higgins got hurt this season, right? He was hurt for a couple of games, and he was running there. But yeah, it's those two guys in Burrow. It's kind of expensive, but it does have some Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne vibes before Wayne blew up, and then I remember Wayne started becoming a really high pick.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things, man, where I just loved them so much back then. I would always draft. It didn't matter to me about quarterbacks early. I was drafting Peyton Manning, man. Yeah, I had to back then. But Serge, you also do a lot of golf content. And while we're all getting ready for our fantasy football drafts and reading all the content we have, you're still rocking and rolling with T-Rod, Tyler Rodriguez, with the RBC Canadian Open here this weekend. Let's talk a little bit about DFS PGA, because we're kind of getting everybody ready for next week where there'll be U.S. Open action, and everybody loves a good major. So I got to ask you, man, when it comes to building lineups, what are some of the strategies for those that maybe haven't played or just getting ready to dive into DFS PGA? What are some of your lineup building strategies that you rely on?
Always gonna rely on course fit and then recent play. So like every golfer plays certain courses very well compared to others, whether it's being how the course it could be a long course, like so you want bombers, or it could be a very narrow course. So you want guys with strong iron play, or like very challenging courses that have a lot of bunkers where you want to hit green in regulations, or else you're putting yourself at risk. So I always look at strokes gained on approach shots, of course. I always like to look at strokes gained putting on the certain surface, things like that, little things, but it's very when golf is, I will always say, is the hardest sport in DFS because it's so volatile. All the
Harder than NBA?
way harder.
What?
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense half the time.
Neither does NBA. You see the
Yeah,
hellhole that we're
yeah,
in at
yeah,
6 p.m., dude? I
yeah,
mean, again, I'm not trying to like yell at you. It's just like, dude, you live this life with me.
yeah, it's terrible. But I think in just terms of because lineup building in NBA looks amazing. Lineup building in golf, you're like it's more like a Sudoku than a puzzle. It's like you're like, okay, this fits, that fits. Okay, it doesn't add up. Never mind. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
Golf DFS lineup building in golf is like Sudoku. That's
yeah,
amazing.
you're entering numbers and then erasing it and entering
Oh
numbers and
my
then
god, seeing
yeah.
that just makes me want to go subscribe. Just get to the content. Don't try to figure this out yourself.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
tough, dude.
Because the metrics are all there, and they could like NBA most of the time you'll get the right players. They'll put out the production you want. It's just like crazy things happen, right?
And then Giannis becomes probable at 6 p.m. And then Giannis
Exactly.
becomes
Yeah.
questionable at 6:30. And then his game's at 7, but at 7:05, he's officially ruled out.
Yeah. That's the only thing about golf is rarely will you not have to worry about someone being bowed out. But I've seen some crazy things. But yeah, what I said is strokes gained on approach shots, guys who are playing the course long, course fit. I guess ownership starts to play a role once you're trying to see where to avoid chalk and where to find leverage, because in golf, it's all about getting every guy through the cut in DFS. You want all 6 of you guys to make the cut. So if you can avoid a chalky player that misses the cut, you'll have a huge edge on the field.
Serge, who are some for the RBC Canadian Open? Who are some of the higher priced golfers that you're going to be building around?
Obviously Rory, he's the highest priced, and T Rod is actually, you just mentioned him, my boy T Rod. We do UFC together. He's the main guy for PGA. He writes the breakdown, the article every week. Yeah, I actually, when I was coming on the show, I dabbled. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be talking Fensty about the RBC Canadian Open, because I'm actually not doing any showdown content for it this week. So it's all gonna be, maybe I'll hop on Discord now that I'm talking about it, but I'm waiting for the US Open more. So but then T Rod's doing the main article. So obviously Rory's the top option. He's won this event twice. It's a very long course where you want to be hitting it far with the driver, which Michael Roy is one of the best drivers of the ball in recent history. He leads in most of the floor projections. He probably is the highest projected ownership. So I don't know if there's equity in fading him, but he does have a lot of win potential in this event, especially with this field. It's not the greatest field. Like the second highest price is Oberg, and then after that, there's like a big drop off. You don't have to worry about the Scotties. You don't have to worry about the Morikawas in this event. So it's like Rory, Oberg, and then a bunch of like guys who usually be mid-range price golfers, like a Corey Connors, a Lowry, and then you have guys that you would never play at their price tags, like a McIntyre and Pendrit. They're like in the 9K range. So yeah, definitely Rory's one of the top guys if I'm paying up, that I'm willing to sacrifice that salary for him. Then a guy like Pendra, who I just mentioned, he's actually one of the top Canadians. He's done well here. I know it's weird paying 9,600 for him, but I think he can win this event. And those are some guys, the higher price guys that I'm looking at.
What about some from the value sector?
Oh, value wise, I'm definitely looking at another Canadian, Nick Taylor. He won this event in 2023. He's had success in the Sony Open, which was a comp course. He's 12th in greens and regulation, 13th in strokes gained on approach. Another guy that T-Rod actually mentioned to me is he's young. Luke Clanton. He's making his PGA Tour debut as a professional now. He's played in events before as qualifying, but now he's a full-on professional, and he's a top-ranked amateur. He already has 4 top 10 finishes in the PGA, and he crushes the ball. He's like really, really destroys the ball, and TPC Toronto demands you to drive it long. So those are 2 guys that I'm looking at. Maybe a Justin Rose seems kind of cheap, but I don't know if I'm gonna go there.
Hanging out with Serge Singh, and you can follow him on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, at S13NGH. He covers multiple sports for fantasyguru.com. NBA with me, PGA, and UFC. And Serge, what do you got coming up on the site here, especially with the US Open coming up next week for PGA?
Yeah, so US Open, I'm gonna be diving into Showdown. Obviously, T-Rod will be on the main article, and we'll try to be in Discord. We'll be tilting it. Maybe Scotty doesn't win again. We'll see. He's just been so good. It's crazy. But as for this week, yeah, NBA Finals is starting. I know you'll be on the Showdown Discord tomorrow. I'll be in there over the weekend. We got a UFC event this week, so me and T-Rod will be breaking down the article there. So typical week, and no stress of the Knicks.
Right. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
You just got to hope that the Mets are able to hang in there in the NL East.
So I know that back-to-back nights, it's 10 o'clock start times, and they won one in extras, then they lost one in extras last night. I'm exhausted. I've been going to sleep like 1:32 a.m. Well, and they played again tonight at 10 p.m. as well.
Gotta love those West Coast games there, Serge.
Yeah.
Serge, one question about UFC and stuff like that. Maybe, I can't even keep up with like different, especially around the world where everybody's fighting. But Paddy Pimblett, is this guy for real? Because I kind of thought that at first he was almost like a gimmick, and kind of like with that bar stool kind of like attachment. I had trouble for a bit taking him seriously. This kid can fight, though, for his size, man. He hangs in there. Like, he's for real.
He is definitely, and I will not lie, I was against the Paddy train. I take full on all the hate. I talk, but I don't talk bad about him. I just didn't think he was the real deal, because he beat Tony Ferguson, but Tony Ferguson's on his last Tony Ferguson's loss. Then he had a good win against Bobby Green. And then I was very impressed with how he handled Michael Chandler. So I think he deserves all the credit he's getting right now, because it's not even his striking has evolved, but he's tough. He has a great ground game. He's a submission specialist. He can finish guys on the mat. He can finish guys on the feet. He's very crisp. I've been very impressed with how crisp his striking has improved. I think his significant striking accuracy is closing in on 55%. His volume is crazy. He has a crazy endurance. He has everything you can see in a future champion. It's just he's in one of the toughest divisions in the world.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he can. But he's rising to the top, and he deserves all the recognition he's getting now. He doesn't look like a meme fighter that we all thought he was.
No,
now he's got the braids, and he's looking kind of tougher.
Yeah,
before he was rocking the mushroom bowl cut.
Yeah, dude.
Silly.
It's like, where's your puka shell necklace?
Yeah.
Like, seriously. So
Yeah.
I'm with you there. That's why I asked, because it seems like a lot more people, because I've been following him, especially like on Instagram for
Yeah.
a while now. Because I just thought, like, I thought the whole like Patty the Batty and Meatball Molly thing was cool. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool because it kind of brought you inside of what it's like to really be a UFC fighter trying to make it. Now he's kind of moving up. Molly, I know, just retired, but yeah,
she fell off, unfortunately. She had her
yeah.
success, she fell off.
It's hard to
But
do, man. I mean,
I know. No,
Rousey fell off. Holly Holm was there for a minute. I mean, I kind of thought that Holly Holm was going to like be the next big thing for like 10 years, and she fell off like shortly after the Rousey fight.
That's the thing in UFC. You gotta your windows close very tight, and it's crazy when we see these fighters that we think are going to be champions for 5, 6, 7 years. I used to think about that about Adesanya, and then he lost. Used to think about that with a lot of these fighters. Then we see like a Volkanovski finally lose, and then we see these newer guard, because these fighters are just, these young guys are just getting better and better. And when you give them a title shot, you'll be shocked at how many times they pull off these upsets or something crazy happens. Because I hate to say it's just a one punch kind of thing, but you never know. It kind of is in that sport.
Yes, or as Logan Paul will say to the wrestling world, one lucky punch is all it takes.
Or being choked out, because now these guys are crazy with their submission games. I feel like we see the choke outs more now than the knockouts.
Yeah, you used to see like the like triangle choke a little bit, and then that was really it. But you're right, it is interesting seeing, just because like you don't even see people get submitted. It's kind of like quick lock, and it's like either fade out or just tap, and it's like the camera barely has enough time to pan.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
wild. Serge, thank you so much again for joining me, as you always do. I'll bring you back on. We're going to have Rich Mileto starting next week, but Serge, I'll still bring you on too, because you're just an awesome dude. You've been riding the Knicks wagon with me and the NBA wagon as well. It's been awesome getting to head that up with you throughout the year, because with NBA DFS, like we talk about, it's never easy, but having someone else in that pit with me, and you've been just great there. So it's been great teaming up with you. And again, I'll put the link up very quickly for you guys out there right now. Get the all in, everything we offer for football, and get it now so you can get ready and learn some information and question what you need to now before the big rush comes. For Serge Singh, I'm Justin Fensterman. Ray Flowers will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, same channel, for Fantasy Sports Daily here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by FantasyGuru.com.